whenever I would do anything up top, and even as I go down to the bottom, there's one major piece of the puzzle for me at all times, and that is that they say the eyes are the window to the soul, right? I want to disrupt his thoughts. I want to disrupt his processes, and the way I do it best is by staying in his face. So when he tie up, and let me back up for just a second. The difficulty in doing these things is you can get into the what ifs, and the what ifs are the most difficult part of being part of these seminars. What I can do today is show you a few things, some of which you've already seen, maybe with a little bit of a twist and turn to it. But the what ifs, well, what if a guy does this? What if that's years, that's 5 years, that's 10 years, that's constantly learning, watching different people, going to seminars, constantly getting on. I mean, there's no better time than mat time to fine tune your craft. So when I'm up top, if he's in here, I'm always coming across his face. I'm always giving him that uncomfortable piece of my body. In Japanese, they say hone to hone, bone to bone. I always want bone to bone. So I'm always in here. The other piece of things is I'm going to use natural handles, especially when I'm up top. So a lot of guys don't think, if I go to grab him and I grab him here, that's one thing. But look what he has here. Again, natural, biomechanics, his natural anatomy. He's got this little handle here. Feel that? I can grab here. It's just not the same. You can pull back on this. Pull back. Pull back on that. See the difference? It's because these natural little insets in here that I can wrap around, and I've got this. I've got this in his elbow too, right in there. When God made man, he said, I'm going to give places for wrestlers to be able to grab onto so that the other guy can't get away, or make it much more difficult to get away. So the wrist is here, this is here. When I grab a head, there's the occipital region and this protuberance, they call it. I'm an idiot. Look at what I do whenever I grab a head. Right in here, this natural little inset that gives me that little extra edge. Now, I've had the opportunity, if you're in there with the right guy, to turn him and literally there's some guys that aren't that strong and they'll submit just off of this. That's ridiculous. But again, natural handle. In here, in here, in here. You've got it in the hip, in here. Yeah, also tickles. So learn those. Know your body. Know the guy's body that you're in there with. Understand where those places are that make it a little bit easier for you to either hang on or to have better control. Second thing. Remember I told you everything's in a circle? You were told about the clock. The same basic construct, right? When I go anywhere with him, if I'm pushing him and he see where his foot is, what am I doing? Am I going to go that way? Am I going to go that way? I'm going to go in a circular motion. So let's say I'm going to go for a throw here. See what I got this head? I'm coming in here. I get underneath, all the way underneath. I get my hip underneath. I shift him up and I'm coming around. Okay? So multiple things are part of that throw. It's a great, it was also part of our submission armamentarium, because when I would take a guy down like that, so I'm in here, I get underneath him. As I take him over, as he's coming down, I would throw my legs off to the side. Boom. Land right on him. If I didn't like him, I would do that. You'd break a rib. Really don't want to break a rib, but make him think twice about things. So again, up top, even up top, I'm in his face. So let me go through a couple submissions up top. In here, I shift a little bit, knock this down, bring him in, right? When I have him in, We didn't choke. There were two things that Carl didn't allow. Everything's morphed into something different though. One was a choke, so I couldn't go straight for the throat, and I couldn't touch his balls. Either or. I couldn't do both at the same time either. Maybe he could, but I couldn't. So watch what I do. Natural handle again. In here, where your ribs separate and come together, you've got this natural little place. That's where I want his head. If I do this right, lift your head. If I put him up here, lift your head. Okay? So natural handle. Next step. And realize, and I definitely realize, that I'm doing this in a way in which he's standing there, he's letting me do it. Too short a time, too abbreviated a time period for me to go into all the ways to get here. So I get him in. Now, when I cross face, either from here or down on the ground, I snake. My hand's like this. I snake. So watch. Here's a regular cross face, right? Now feel this. Feel the difference? Can you feel? You gotta say yes or no.
Yes.
Okay. I keep him tucked in here. I got this natural handle, natural little inset. This comes in, this snakes in. Now, when I know this is uncomfortable, I'm sorry. When I have